Oh, yes. Pale blood. Well, you've come to the right place. Yarnum is the home of blood administration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yarnum blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
Hey gamers, Bad Luck Gamer here, and if you couldn't tell, I am playing Bloodbourne. Now, Bloodbourne is my current favorite game out there to date of all games out there. All the Souls game, well, the Souls series in general has been my favorite all-time game. Starting with Dark Souls 1, because I really enjoyed the lore, I enjoyed the feel of the game, I enjoyed the difficulty of the game, I enjoyed the fact that you could make your characters kind of however you wanted to. And there was no, like, preset character class. There were, but they only kind of changed your stats, and they kind of more or less just changed how you wanted to start off. There were some meta point changes, but, you know, anyway, that's against my... Bloodbourne is a greater callback to Dark Souls 1 than I feel that Dark Souls 2 was. Dark Souls 2 was great, but a lot of what Dark Souls 2 lacked was some of the lore elements, how the game made you feel as far as the lore was concerned, if you're a lore person like myself. It's also more of a level design thing as well, because in Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne, there's a lot of going back to a central location just through traveling through the world. There's a lot of shortcuts that kind of take you to the center location. Dark Souls 2 didn't really quite do that because of the teleportation system with the lanterns. In Dark Souls 2, you used the teleportation more than any other Souls game out there. I have not played Demon Souls, which I'm very sad about because it was the beginning of it, you know. I really wish I had. I probably might in the future. We'll have to see. But, one of the things that kind of makes me really like this game, first of all, is the combat. The combat overall is just phenomenal. It really puts an emphasis on just kind of watching your opponent and making sure that because there's no shields in this game. And before I get super tangenty, let me actually skip. Let's just not get into why I like the game as much as what the game is about. Bloodborne is... Dark Souls 1 was interesting because it was a game about the beginning of how man kind of came to be in our coexistence with the gods. Bloodborne is similar in the fact that as you travel through the game, you kind of delve into the deeper intricacies of what it is to be a human and an animal at the same time. Bloodborne itself, excuse me, I have bad mucus problems. Bloodborne itself is actually, it's a dark Gothic Elizabethan kind of setting, but it's Lovecraftian, and that's why the game is super interesting, because not only is it dealing with the mundane and like the mythology back back in those days, you know, of a lot of fantastical creatures, many of which I could name, but you probably wouldn't know because they're just very kind of like vampires were in Romania and how those myths started. But then it splashes in otherworldly gods, you know, otherworldly creatures that come from outside, from space, you know, there's allusions to space. And so a lot of what happens in the game kind of shifts between that. But another big Lovecraftian thing they take is the idea of dimensions. and planes of existence. And in this game, that's embodied in dreams and nightmares, and that'll become apparent. I'll get more into that as the game gets going. And we finally got my character going here. He's a rather rugged looking fellow. I don't know exactly what I want to go with. I went with the milk toast origin because honestly, I don't want to start with the waste of skin. And just for people who need to see, here's all what they do. I'm gonna just flip through the stats as I talk. Some of them actually start with more blood echoes than others, which I find interesting. That might just be a balancing system for itself. But it really is. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Waste of Skin is really good. It's like Milk Toast, only you start lower levels, so you can have a little bit more customization with your character. But overall, I went with Milk Toast because it's just the most general. I didn't want to have too hard of a time because I don't want to die too much. Anyway, I'm going to call this character... What should I call this character? I will call this character... Garth. It's a very appropriate name for this time period. And I'm gonna get done here and we're gonna go to the opening sequence. But I really enjoy this game and I'm really happy I get to experience this with the rest of you. So we're gonna be doing a Let's Play.
Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
You found yourself a hunter.
Okay, so that is probably one of the trippiest beginnings to any game anywhere. One of the reasons why I really enjoy the Dark Souls series and Souls series in general. Bloodborne is not Dark Souls. It's not the same universe, so don't try to make any connections between their lore. A handwritten scroll. Seek pale blood to transcend the hunt. Now, transcend is to go beyond the hunt. So currently that means we're in the hunt. And I don't have any lanterns, so it's kind of hard to see a lot of what's in this area right here. There's some doors back here and they're locked. And then you heard a voice at the end, and we're going to hear that voice again very soon. That says, you found yourself a hunter. Who the voice is speaking to is unknown, and it's actually unknown to the majority of us. That's the great thing that Miyazaki, the designer of this game, did, is he wanted the game, make the game open to interpretation but it's a female voice, and it's one we will hear again. But who she's speaking to, we don't know. Now, I'm going to get into symbolism here soon enough. But first, I'm going to try to take this bastard out. Now, there's actually a way that you can walk around this thing. It's kind of hard to see, and I'm sorry if you can't see it. This game is designed to be dark. We're going to take this bastard out. Right thumbstick. Oh, okay. Oh. Karate chop! Alright, come on, you bastard. Oh. I let myself get caught. You don't have to fight this thing. Let me just make it clear that you do not have to fight this thing. You can go past it. It won't change any of the lore of the game. I'm just trying to take it out because this thing is just such a bastard in the beginning of the game, and it kills you. If you try to fight it, it's almost guaranteed it kills you. I was not fighting it probably the way I should have, but oh well. And I'm going to be cutting out most of the scenes. I just want to catch this one, mostly because I got caught talking during it. But it actually shows you items. But I want to show you most of the item descriptions myself. The Hunter's Dream. Now, I am playing online, so there's going to be a lot of these little dudes popping up. They're called messengers, and messengers are connected to hunters directly, specifically. For some reason or another, a hunter gets connected to a set of messengers. Now, an important thing to mention, and something that you saw in the sequence after you get your blood transfusion. You got infected with Yharnam blood. Not infected, but infused with Yharnam blood. And there happens to be an abandoned doll. A life-size doll, which I can't really get a good view of right now. But one of the important things to mention is that you saw a beast rising out of the blood, and it comes towards you, but then it turns its claw upside down. And that's significant, because no beast out there in reality would turn its claw upside down towards you. There's no reason for that. It would come down on you. So the beast is offering you something, it appears. But then it burns. It bursts into fire. Fire is actually a really important thing to the Yharnam culture, and we'll come across that here soon. And I swear this won't be all preachy or lore stuff. I just want to get some of these features just in the beginning of the game. But anyway, it bursts into fire and it dies. And that's important to the Yharnam culture, which I'll mention later. But then you're surrounded by the messengers. And so this is significant, and it'll become more significant as the game progresses. Right now, we're going to pick our weapons. Now, guaranteed, one of the best starting weapons, one of the best weapons in the game in general is the Hunter Axe. It does really good damage. It has really good rally. Rally is the poorly worded buff, which increases how much health you gain back per hit when your bar turns yellow. And I'll show that here soon. It has one of the greatest ranges, and it has a decent attack speed. The threaded cane is one of the hardest weapons. It has really good range. It has a decent moveset. I really like the threaded cane, but it's definitely one of the harder weapons. And it has 20 less damage, 20 plus 2 less damage, and less durability than the Hunter Axe. But I'm actually going to go with the Saw Cleaver. This is one of the iconic weapons from the game. It has the best medium quality stats overall. It looks like it scales off of arcane and strength and a little bit of dex. So we're going to go with the saw cleaver. And then with the weapons, there's the Hunter Pistol and the Hunter Blunderbuss. The Hunter Blunderbuss is really good for staggering your opponents. And the Hunter Pistol is really good for damage, and it's really good for staggering your opponents as well. The Blunderbuss has a wider spread, so it's not as area dependent as the Hunter Pistol, so overall it's better for staggering your opponents. The Hunter Pistol does a lot more damage. The Hunter Blunderbuss can do a lot of damage if you're really close to your opponent, but if everyone's dodging around, that's hard. I'm actually going to go with the Hunter Pistol. Now, the overall weapons I choose, and this is a fun little item. It's called the Notebook. It allows you to leave messages for people. And there's a difference. White messages are messages that people left behind. Red messages are people who died. So you have to be asking yourself, how did someone die in the Hunter Dream with no enemies? I'll get to that later. Anyway, we're done here. So we're going to go to the first floor's sick room. Alright, so we're actually down the stairs. We went down these stairs from where we were, but the doors are closed now. That's interesting.
Are you out on the hunt? Then I'm very sorry, but I cannot open this door. I am Yosefka. The patients here in my clinic must not be exposed to infection. I know that you hunt for us, for our town, but I'm sorry. Please. This is all that I can do. Now, go. And good hunting.
So, it's interesting. Maybe it's just because we're out on the night of the hunt, but she recognized us instantly as a hunter. I don't even have any weapons equipped. And I don't have particularly... And I'll even... Oops. Well, pressing up on the directional pad will make you use blood vials, or make instant quicksilver bullets, which you use and make out of your blood. Now, I'm gonna look at the attire. Black hood display. Hood worn upon awakening to the nightmare of blood and beasts. So we've awakened to the nightmare of blood and beasts. Now that has a couple meanings. Either it means we've started on a journey, a harrowing journey, or we've literally awakened into a nightmare. That's something to keep in mind. Perhaps its wearer had to stay out of sight and travel by cover of darkness. Without memory, who will ever know? This is your clothing, so this actually pertains to your character. You had to travel by cover of darkness or out of sight for some reason, but you also have no memory, so no one will ever know. Foreign garb. Clothing worn upon awakening, same as before. Not typical clothing for Yharnam. Perhaps it is of a foreign origin. It is said, after all, the traveler came to Yharnam from afar. Without memory, who will ever know? So that's the same as before. The other clothes, solely bandages. One more. Bandages worn upon awakening to the nightmare of Blumpies. Terribly worn and unsanitary. A faint memory recalls blood ministration, involving the transfusion of unknown blood. Not long after the nightmare began. So there's a lot of beginning of the nightmare. So there's a lot of reason to believe that we're currently involved. Oops, I took off my trousers for some reason. And this is the same thing about as the clothes do. So there's a reason to believe that we're involved in some sort of nightmare, some kind of alternate reality, if you will. But there's a lot of reasons to believe that this is the actual reality as well, as you'll see. Also, what I wanted to do is actually equip my weapon. Now, you can go to this screen. You actually press L2 and R2 to switch between the weapons. That just makes it easier so you don't have to back out and back into the menu. We have our weapons. We're now going to go kick the ass of this freaking beast. It is not a werewolf because this person may never again transform back into a human. Search the corpse, gives you blood vials. Yay, I can reuse one. There's a couple more here. I'm sorry, this first episode is going to be incredibly long because I want there to be some content involved with it. But we are here next to a clinic which has gravestones in it. You can also hear, I don't know if you guys can hear, I'm going to probably turn the game volume down. There's something up over this edge. There's a gate here. Closed by a device. That means at one point we'll be able to open it. Alright, so we're going to go out. I got some bullets. So I can now use my gun. And that's one of my favorite things about Bloodbourne. They have guns in the game, but the guns are not overpowered as they would be normally. Look at the top hat. I don't know why. I just enjoy the fact that there's top hats randomly on the ground. It's just random. Also, more blood vials. So that's nice. So, people have been complaining that this game is too casual because they throw potions, health potions at you all the time. It's not going to be like that later in the game for sure. And you need a lot of them because they don't heal you full health, and it's really easy to take damage in this game. There's no real hard defense. There's some clothes that give you, there's some apparel that gives you.
This town's finished.
This town's finished. That's about that, guys. So now increase the volume there. Molotov cocktails. Nice. We're not going to use those yet, though. We're going to go over here. Open this. And this actually brings the ladder down. We're going to climb up this ladder. And we have nice Gothic architecture over in that direction. We have this long bridge. And we have the clinic there. And maybe a station, like a wagon station down there. It's hard to tell. Anyway, we're going to go to the first lantern here. Bam. Anyway, as I was mentioning, the guns are not overpowered in this game. They're rather limited. There's easy ways to replenish them. You can get blood bullets, for instance, that though it damages you. But they're not overpowered, but they do have a strong game element. And they're also used more defensively than offensively.
Oh, you must be a hunter. And not one from around here either. I'm Gilbert, a fellow outsider. You must have had a fine time of it. Yarnum has a special way of treating guests. Well, I don't think I could stand if I wanted to, but I'm willing to help if there's anything that can be done. This town is cursed. Whatever your reasons might be, you should plan a swift exit. Whatever can be gained from this place, it will do more harm than good.
So he mentions this town is cursed, and one of the enemies down there said this town is finished. Also, interesting statues they have in this town. A lot of shrouded figures. Now, this game plays a lot on what the Black Plague was during the medieval times. But notice this lantern here. It's actually full of incense, and this makes beasts not prone to come towards you. This guy actually has some more dialogue.
You say, never heard of it. But if it's blood you're interested in, you should try the Healing Church. The church controls all knowledge on blood ministration and all varieties of blood. Across the valley to the east of Yarnum lies the town of the Healing Church, known as the Cathedral Ward. And deep within Cathedral Ward is the old Grand Cathedral, the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood, or so they say. Yarnumites don't share much with outsiders. Normally they wouldn't let you near the place, but The hunt is on tonight. This might be your chance.
So the hunt is on tonight. Also, he mentioned pale blood, which is what we saw in the letter earlier. It's assumed that your character can speak at least to other NPCs. We don't hear your character's voice unless they're actually like injured or anything. But we have to go to the healing church or the healing ward. So that's where we're going to be making. That's our first track. Now, always, if you played any Souls game, always talk multiple times to the NPCs.
To the east of Yarnum, you'll find the cathedral ward. Deep within lies the old main cathedral, said to be the source of blood. I haven't heard of pale blood, but that's your best bet if it's anything to do with unique types of blood.
And I think that's the last thing he says. Yep. Alright, so always talk multiple times to NPCs because it unlocks further dialogue, but it also can give you items, which he will actually give us an item, but that's a little later. I'm kind of running on close to 25 minutes, so that's probably where I'm going to end. I just kind of want to get some final thoughts out. First of all, bells play a big part of this game. You can hear that big cathedral bell actually playing in the background. There's also little bells attached to the lanterns here. Not many people mention that. Also, I think, I'm not 100% sure, they look like they give off a special kind of aura occasionally. Anyway, so that's kind of going to be it for the first episode. Now, several important things have happened in this first section of the game. Now I'm going really slow. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick up the speed a little bit here. But I really kind of want to just kind of show how excited I am to do this series in general. First of all, and I'm sorry, he's getting really annoying. He's just coughing there. So, I still kind of hear him, but not as bad. Anyway, there's a lot of things happening. First, there's a mentioning of a nightmare being awakened into a nightmare, starting, something in the nightmare. Then there's the hunter. What is a hunter? We don't quite know yet. That will be mentioned here in a little bit. And on top of that, pale blood. What is pale blood, and how is it important to our character? Why did our character come from afar? Our character is known as the foreigner. Why has he come here to Yarnum? What was the purpose of that? Why is the character shadowed? Why, who was the man in the beginning? He was the man who gave us blood. His name is known as the Blood Minister. There's not much known on him, but he has to be a part of the healing church in some form or fashion because they're the ones who control the blood and the blood ministrations, as the man over there said. So, a lot of interesting things. Also, I don't know exactly how I want to go about progressing in the series. I kind of want to use weapons not normally seen by other people just to kind of show them off. But please, leave a message in the comments below if you have an idea. There's several different ways to go about this game. You can see the stats there: Vitality, Endurance, Strength, Skill, Blood Tinge, Arcane. Now, damage is mostly allocated to the bottom four: Strength, Skill, Blood Tinge, Arcane. So I usually go between two because going just with one kind of really limits you on your weapon choices. So please leave a message in the comments telling me which two do you want me to go with. Strength and Arcane, maybe? Skill and Blood Tinge? Maybe Skill and Strength. We'll just go with the straight up fighter. Either way, I would like to know. And it'll help me decide what weapons I want to use. I'm going to show off most of the weapons, but I need to know what weapons I'm going to be improving. Also, it'll help me kind of go about how I want to play the game. I'm sorry, not a lot of exciting things have happened here. A lot of the characters just kind of standing around. Because this is the beginning of a very long journey, but a lot of the sections after this point are going to be a lot quicker, especially when I'm playing through this section. So I kind of want to get a lot of the idea behind the game out, because I'm not a master of the lore, and the lore is open for interpretation anyway. But this is just kind of the start, the introduction story, if you will, of my playthrough. So, yeah. Please don't leave spoilers in the comments. I know some people want to be helpful and give out hints. I've actually played through the game several times before. I've done really well. I just kind of want to show everyone how much I enjoy this game by playing it with you guys. Anyway, gamers, ciao for now. Good luck on the hunts.